parenting tips I'm going to give you. Because from a child's point of view, whenever they hear this word parenting, you know what they actually think? They think that this is some trick that parents are going to learn so that they get more stuff done out of us, they make us obey them, and actually they control us. So kids are very skeptical of this stuff. You tell a kid that I'm going to go to a parenting class, and kid will be, oh my God, what are you going to do now? What are you going to learn? Are you going to make me study even more, or are you going to make me eat that spinach? So children are always worried about that. And obviously that is not what parenting is about, but that is what kids think. So today, in a moment or two, we will start. I am very happy to see all of your questions framing in from here, and that's a nice thing to see. We all are very keen to be good parents, and that is what this session is all about. So I'm going to start now. So once again, good morning to all of you. Happy morning, India. You all are in your homes, safe, protecting yourself, your society, your family, your state, and your country from this deadly epidemic. We are all staying home, trying to be happy, doing our work. We all probably belong to the category where we are not immediately in danger. खाने पीने का काम का सबका ठीक चल रहा है. There are huge number of people out there who have these difficulties, and government is looking after them. So you and I have to stay at home, protect ourselves, and look after our family. So this session is about looking after our family, being a good parent, and knowing what really works in parenting. We have about 30 minutes starting now. Now, this is, as a child psychiatrist, this is always a very difficult challenge that I face. That now we have 30 minutes and I have to tell you everything about how to be a good parent, how to be an effective parent. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of that scene in Mahabharata where Krishna and Arjun are standing in the middle of the battlefield and Arjun is posing extremely difficult questions. Now you all may be Arjun, you all are fighting this battle of life like me, and you have this extremely difficult question in front of you, that how do we get the best out of our children? How do we make sure that our children actually achieve their real potential in life? But guys, I am no Krishna. I have absolutely no delusions of being in a godlike state, though people say that doctors are gods. No, we are not gods. We have some scientific knowledge. And what I'm going to get to you in next 30 minutes is the scientific knowledge, research proven stuff, a lot of stuff that people have observed in clinics, helping troubled families and high functioning families, and how it can be good for all of us. Okay, so if you're looking for an idea from me that how do I get my child into computer science, IIT Bombay, please switch off right now. Because I don't think anybody in the world has that kind of knowledge. Agar wo hota, so that person would be the richest person in India right now. Because everybody would want their children to go to IIT with that formula. So coming to the core of the issue, the challenge that you and I face as parents is that we are constantly bombarded with information and images from all over the world. Via media, we are consuming all this information. In newspaper, we read all this information. We see all the images. And all of them constantly show children that are very healthy, very happy, and they and their parents, I mean, those parents look like 18 and 20 years old, and these kids look like 12 and 13-year-old. I don't know how is that possible in real life, but they all look like a very happy family, constantly smiling, pink and purple and fluffy and golden and silver sprinkle around them all the time. Any child that is unhappy even for a tiny moment immediately becomes happy as soon as the product from the advertisement is given to them. And this is the staple diet on which we parents are brought up. These children that we see in media, in advertisements, everywhere, are happy children, healthy children, very, very successful children, children who love their parents immensely, and the parents who look like film stars and who are also constantly happy. Somehow it tells us, and it kind of starts making us believe, that this is how everything should be. My child has to be constantly happy, my child has to be constantly healthy, and my child has to be superlatively successful. I can guarantee you, and I say this with all responsibility as a child psychiatrist, that this is almost an impossible order for any parent to fulfill. No parent can actually do this all the time. Some of us may achieve this sometime. And this performance pressure that is there on us, this peer pressure that we imbibe from all the people around us, is something that makes us very ineffective, very emotionally charged parents. And parenting, if you look at your own childhood and try to remember your parents, you will realize that parenting is not about what parents make you sit down and talk to you. It is not about what advice parents give you. Parenting is about how your children see you being a live, active, living human being all the time. They see you as a parent in action. So what do you do when you are in hurry? What do you do on a day-to-day basis? How do you behave? How do you talk? How do you conduct yourself when you think nobody is looking? When you think nobody is actively following you is what makes you a parent. That is what your children remember. And the actions that we do repeatedly over and over again, when we are not being conscious of these actions, are actually dictated by our emotions. Our brain is designed in such a way that our emotions decide our actions, particularly when we are in a hurry, particularly when we are stressed, particularly when we are enveloped by difficult emotions. It is our core emotions which drive our actions. And these actions happen repeatedly, over and over again, month after month, year after year. And that is what parenting is all about. And what are these emotions that drive parents? I'm talking specifically about Indian parents. There are two very dominant negative emotions which push us all the time, which motivate us all the time. First emotion is the emotion of fear. As a parent, we are always worried. As a parent, we are always anxious. As a parent, we are always scared. In my power to make sure that only the best comes the way of my child. We are constantly afraid that something will go wrong. A child does something little bit here and there, something like not taking lunch for one day, and in our mind we start seeing the child as completely emaciated, like that African famine child. The child has skipped just one lunch or has eaten just one less roti, but in our mind it is catastrophized to an extent where we think that this child is going to get malnourished. बाकी सब लोगों के बच्चे 6-6 फुट लंबे हो जाएंगे और मेरा बच्चा बस सिर्फ इतना छोटा बोना रह जाएगा. That is the kind of reaction that we give because we are controlled by the emotion called fear. So that is what drives our parenting. And then there is a second emotion which is equally challenging. Most of us are not aware of it. And when I say the word, a lot of you are going to curse me for that. But believe you me, there is a bit of truth in that. Bit of truth in what I say. That emotion is emotion of greed. We want more. We want more all the time. बच्चे ने नर्सरी में कुछ तो भी 1 स्टार बच्चा लेके आया एक दिन, तो immediately we want that child to get multiple stars every day for the rest of his life. We want more and more and more by way of achievements for these children. Now I understand, I am a parent as well. I have a 19-year-old daughter and a 14-year-old daughter. And I know that as parents, we want our children to do their best. As parents, we want our children to achieve, be more. But the stress should not be on the outcome, but the stress should be on the process. Because we don't know what success is. If you ask the most successful people, are you successful? They may not agree with you. They will give you a different answer. But if we get our children into the habit of following the process, then these children have a chance of being happy in life. They have a chance of actually realizing their potential in life. Whether you call that success or not is entirely up to you, because success has a different definition and different operative criteria in everybody's mind. So our focus should be on the process of helping our children do the right things over and over again, so that ultimately they have a chance, a good chance at life. And I'm going to focus for next 20 minutes on these things. This is what makes parenting work. This is what makes children into good individuals, self-responsible adults who will not be a constant source of worry for you when you are growing old. Because ultimately that is what we want. We all want our children to be on their own, happy, looking after their own life, and even supporting us being a good part of the society. So that is exactly what we are looking for. And let me tell you what are two or three main things that we really need to focus on. You try to do too many things और वो सब आपके हाथ से निकल जाता है. This parenting always reminds me of my favorite cricketer Virender Sehwag, and I'm sure most of you have seen him playing in his best days. You know, the strategy that Virender Sehwag used to have is that every time I see a bad ball, I hit it very hard. When you are a Virender Sehwag, then every ball is a bad ball for you and you hit it very hard. But what it means is that you play for long inning. You don't hit every ball. You don't try to hit every ball out of the park. Most of the times what you are essentially doing is you are keeping your wicket. And as parent, that is one of the most important things. This is a very long inning. You will get ample opportunities. Just don't get clean bowled. So what are the things that we should be focusing on? Let me tell you those three things one by one. First thing is that if the child has to grow up to their potential, whatever that potential may be. Every child has a different ability. We all have our different abilities, and we gradually reach that potential. Most of us actually realize this potential as we grow up, as we become adults. Sometimes we realize that potential in our 30s and 40s, and that is okay because it's a long life. So if the child has to realize any kind of potential, has to achieve anything in life, has to be happy, then there is one crucial element that all of them have to learn, and that is discipline. When you and I were children, everybody could discipline us. Teachers disciplined us, household helps disciplined us, relatives disciplined us, our neighbors disciplined us, even a man on the street could discipline you. This doesn't happen anymore. We do not like people telling our children what to do. Okay, so nobody actually tries to discipline your children. Even teachers who are primarily responsible for them have somehow started taking this hands-off approach because they feel कि ये सब लाडले बच्चे हैं, इनको कुछ भी बोला तो वो घर जाके पेरेंट्स से रिसीट लेके आएंगे, कुछ तो भी लेटर लेके आएंगे, मेरी जिंदगी खराब कर देंगे. भाई आपका बच्चा है, आप संभालो, हमारा काम जो पढ़ाना है वो हम कर रहे हैं. So even the most important element in child's life, which is school, is actually stepping back a little bit on discipline. So the only place where a child is going to learn discipline, develop discipline, become self-disciplined is their home. And how do you get children to become self-disciplined? First thing there is by having a very clear schedule. Children need a very clear schedule. They need time to play. They need downtime for entertainment. They need time where they are just going to sit around and do nothing very specific or productive. Then they need specific time when they are going to exercise or do physical play. They need time for their studies. And all of this is important every day. आपकी कल एग्जाम है, फिर भी आज जाके खेलना important है. It is really crucial that you burn off that anxiety in your body, you burn off that stress in your body by whacking that ball around for at least 30-40 minutes, even if you have a math paper tomorrow. Because if you manage to play well for half an hour the previous evening, I can guarantee you, you are actually going to do better in your exams because your mind is more relaxed, your body is more happy. And this is what matters. So that discipline about schedule is really important. Children should have an approximate schedule which family makes sure is adhered to, at least on the weekdays. So if you have a young child at home, a school-going child at home, and it is just two of you parents, then it is important to be home in the evening. It is important to postpone your social engagements to the weekend when child has to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and go to school. They need to have their 6 or 8 hours of sleep, at least 8 hours for children, before they can go to school. So अगर 6 बजे बच्चे को उठना है, तो 10 बजे बच्चे को सोना पड़ता है. If the child has to go to bed at 10 o'clock, they need to have dinner at 9 o'clock. For that, their TV has to be switched off at 8 o'clock. For that, they have to have their bath at 7 o'clock in the evening. So on the weekday, the entire family has to follow a specific routine, be available for the child, for them to have a nice night's sleep so that they can be energetic, fully charged when they go to school next morning. This is how we do it. Second thing of discipline is restricting overstimulation. Giving gadgets to children is a bad idea. There should be limited amount of time that children spend on these gadgets. And for most of the school going children, on a typical school day, gadget time for entertainment should not be more than 30 to 45 minutes. As parents, it is our responsibility to make sure that children actually stick to this time limit right from the age of 3 or 4. Because if you try to impose this suddenly when they are 13 and 14, then they are going to rebel against it because they are already addicted to the screen. So right from very young age, start restricting their entertainment screen time. Maybe a lot of children are doing their classwork or their school on various social media apps like Zoom right now. So that is their school time, that is different. But for entertainment, they should be given only a restricted time. Ability to switch off that screen is an important ability that child needs to develop, and it is our job as parents to help them do that. The next thing is smart studying, and a lot of parents actually don't get this point. We want children to do well in exams. We want children to realize how to crack the important exams in their life. And the only way that can be done is by restricting study time. Now, this may come across as really funny to you. But unlimited study time actually makes you dumb, particularly when you're a school kid till 8th, 9th standard. You should be studying only for stipulated time in the day and nothing more than that. When you have specific limited time, that is when your brain starts thinking of how can I do this thing more efficiently. That is when children learn how to cram in more part of learning, particularly exam related learning, in short period of time. Children need to learn this because there is never unlimited time. As they grow up, as they move on, the portion becomes more and more vast. And unless they learn smart learning techniques, they will never be able to cover the whole thing, particularly when they go past 10th standard and so on. So teaching children to be really smart learners early on is very important for us. So that is something that I want you to focus on, and you do that by restricting their study time. कि आपको सिर्फ 2 घंटे मिलने वाले, इससे ज़्यादा आप पढ़ने वाले नहीं हो. I am also somebody who's very much against tuition classes. Definitely before 9th and 10th standard, no tuition classes at all. Children need to be self-learning. They all go to school. They all have decent textbooks. They all have access to huge amount of information. If they can self-learn, then that is one of the greatest things that you can teach these children. Because beyond school, these tuitions are really of no help. So they might as well learn their self-learning very early on in life. And the last part of discipline is that there has to be dedicated time for exercise/sports every day. There has to be dedicated time for art every day, even on the day before your exam. Because we all are entering a world where creativity is the biggest quality. And just by becoming a rattu tota, by mugging up those books, children are really not going to go very far. They're just going to become cannon fodder. All other parts of their brain also need to develop. Their abilities need to develop. And art, music, sports, teamwork are really important things in life. No matter how great you are, you will always work in a team. No matter how intelligent you are and whatever your scores are, you need to relax your brain. No matter how intelligent you are, you need to have a brain that has lateral thinking ability, that can look at the same problem from different points of view and solve those problems very well. All of this is possible only if you are going to go beyond your academics. If you have an inclination to art, play some music, make some art, use your hands. These are very important tools given to you by your nature. So using your hands to create music. Just listening to music is not art, that's entertainment. Just watching things on YouTube is entertainment. Doing things with your own hand, creating music, creating nice things, creating drawings, cuttings, woodwork, clay work, whatever you like, everything needs to be given dedicated time every day. Art is not something that you do in a camp, in your vacation, or just during the month of May, or only on Sunday afternoon for 2 hours. Art, creativity, lateral thinking, non-verbal thinking is a way of life. It has to be practiced every day. That is the real joy to your brain, and that makes your brain sharper and more happy. So, physical exercise, whatever games that your child likes to play, and young children keep on changing that every 3 to 4 months, that is perfectly fine. We shouldn't be upset about that. They should try out as many things as they want. Maybe 2 or 3 months they change the game, they change the sports and try it out. That is brilliant. Let them do that. But make sure that they go out and play around. They come back home sweaty and tired every day. That is how children become happy. So, art and sports must have a place in your daily life. And as parents, it is our responsibility to make sure that our children have this access. So this is the first part, which is about discipline, which is about having a schedule, which is about helping children do all these things very regularly and not overstimulating them with screens and all other things. Second part is about child self-esteem. Children who feel good about themselves automatically do good behavior because they want to maintain that image. Children who feel good about themselves are more approachable. Children who feel good about themselves are more friendly. They take on bigger challenges because they are confident that they are capable of taking on and succeeding in those challenges. This is called as self-esteem. This is their self-image. And there are two sources of self-image for a human being. One is the kind of feedback that they get from adults, a true feedback. Not that you are the best child in the world. Child knows that I am not the best. They have enough evidence of that happening around them all the time. So they need a genuine feedback from trustable adults, and they need to experience that they are good. How do you make that happen as a parent? First thing is by giving them credible, good feedback. Something as simple as you come back home from work and you see your child sitting there doing some artwork or playing some music. You sit down there, it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, child is engrossed in his or her own activity. You can see that they are really happy making that music or making that thing or creating whatever artwork that they're doing. At the end of 15 minutes, all you need to do is go close to your child, give them a nice smile, pat them on the back, and tell them that it's so wonderful to see you doing this. You know, it's been 15 minutes I'm watching you, and you're completely engrossed in doing this creative work. It is a joy for me as a parent to see you so happy, to see you so engrossed. Children absolutely love this ability to make their parents happy. When a parent tells them that I'm really happy, that fills into that self-esteem department of them. But this has to be genuine happiness. And when you praise a child like that, you're supposed to shut up and walk away. Because like a typical Indian parent, you will end up saying that अभी 15 मिनट पियानो बजा लिया, चलो बच्चा अभी उठ जाओ, अभी आधा घंटा मैथ्स कर लो या फिजिक्स कर लो. That is not the way it is done. Maths, physics, history, school has its own time. It has to be done in that time. One thing cannot be pushed on to other. Otherwise, every time you start praising the child will get worried. Every time my father or mother praises me, they pile on some other responsibility. So this is not praise, this is just advertisement. Okay, so don't do that. When you praise them, give them pure praise. Let them be really happy with what they are doing. Let them see that you actually approve of their non-screen activity. A child is told that today you will put up plates for dinner, this is your responsibility. Child does that. 2 दिन 3 दिन बच्चा कर रहा है. It is our responsibility to tell them, you know, I told you only once or twice, and you have taken up this responsibility. You are doing this every day. You are a responsible child. I'm very happy to be your parent. I'm very proud of you. Children need to hear this very specific praise from their parents. Children need to hear that parents actually appreciate their actions. And praise should be pure praise. It should not be followed by next demand by the parent. Similarly, when the child is doing something wrong, it is our responsibility to give them a very clear negative feedback. That I saw you loitering around, this is your study time and you are wasting your time. I'm not okay with that. Tell me, how can I help you to sit down for next 1 hour? Be there, Sit with them and get things done. Evening time is the most useful time for a lot of parents because that is really the only time that we get out with our children. It is important to dedicate some specific time to children, particularly young children who need help in studying. Sitting with the child and helping them read. Even for a 7th, 8th standard child who's studying on their own, sitting next to them reading your own book, not on the phone, reading your own book is really important. It gives them moral support. It tells them that my activity is important for my parent, so they are sitting next to me, ready there to help me. Okay, so this is what we need to do as parents. That is really important for them. This is how their self-esteem gradually builds up. Even when a child fails, when a parent tells them that yes, you tried, it didn't work out, let us do it again, I know you can do it. Just keeping it that much, not getting into a long monologue. We Indian parents have this tendency to get into these 45-minute monologues with our children. Children don't like it. Nobody likes it. You don't like it when you get that at your workplace. Your communication should be crisp and sharp. So that brings us to the last point in parenting, which is about very, very clear communication. Children, being children, constantly demand things. They constantly want something more. In your mind, there should be a clear criteria, and this has to be agreed upon by all the adults in the house, because children will also divide and rule. Children are very smart. उनको मालूम होता है कि किसी के पास जाके क्या पूछना है, कौन क्या चीज नहीं देता है, कौन क्या चीज देता है. So be very careful about that. Try to have a consensus amongst all the adults in the house. When a child asks for something, if you think the demand is reasonable, you should say yes immediately. Just because the child is asking something, don't try to use that as a bait to get something more done from them. If it is a reasonable demand, given to that demand immediately, say yes, finish it off. If you think the demand is unreasonable, as a parent, it is your duty to say no. No, I'm not going to do this for you. No, this is not going to happen. Sorry, I will not buy that. And leave it at that. As a parent, you really do not need to feel guilty about saying no to your child and launch yourself into a very detailed and long explanation. वो salesman pitch होता है. You don't need to do that with your child. It is absolutely okay to say no to an unreasonable demand without getting into very long explanations. Be very careful with that, because many times if you do not say a clear no, if you say a wishy-washy no, कि हाँ बाद में देखेंगे, let me ask your father, we will see that later on, I'll talk about this tomorrow, child assumes that this is essentially open for negotiation. And the child will continue to harass you over that again and again and again. So, if it is your own loving child, you're a responsible parent, simply tell them that this is not okay, I'm not going to do this for you, forget about it, and move on, start doing something else. Hearing a clear no actually helps the children understand what are the rules of the house. You don't want to put children into a negotiating position where everything is negotiated, everything is argued, everything, the child keeps on pestering you for things. Your no's have to be very clear no's, your yeses have to be very clear yeses, and that really helps the child to understand the rules of the game in your family. Okay, so these are 3 very simple things that I have talked to you about. Let me just go over that once more. First is self-discipline. That is really important. Discipline happens by scheduling their day in a good way, making sure that and helping them to stick to that schedule, which should involve very little screen time, excellent play and sports time, excellent art and craft time, and specific study time, no matter how young or old that child is. Second is giving appropriate praise to increase their self-esteem and to give clear negative feedback when the child is doing something wrong, but making sure that our feedback is crisp, it's specific, and it does not go on for 20 minutes. It should be just 2 or 3 sentences, and that is it. And being available for your child when they actually need your help, being right next to them and helping them, that is something that is really important. And the third point that I talked about is having clear communication. When the demand is reasonable, saying yes. When the demand is unreasonable, saying a clear no, and letting the child know boundaries of what is okay in your house. These are 3 simple things which, if you practice on a day-to-day basis week after week, month after month, you will realize that the family environment becomes more cheerful. There is less stress, there is less fear, there is less greed, there is less anger, there is less sadness in the family, there is less conflict. You all are talking to each other more, you understand each other better, and the constant negotiation and the conflict actually starts disappearing step by step. It is a long way, but it is never too late. You can always start that as a parent. So there, as I see, we have just finished our 30 minutes of time. So once again, working on self-discipline and scheduling, working on increasing children's self-esteem, and working on very clear communication are three most crucial things as a parent that we must do as a responsibility over a long period of time to be effective parents. I wish you all a very good luck, wish you very happy parenting. May you all, including me and my family, let us all stay at home, stay safe, be good, and conquer this epidemic. Let's be effective parents. There is light at the end of the tunnel. We will reach that very soon. It is waiting for us. So let us be happy parents. Let our children be happy and reaching their own self-potential so that we can retire very, very happily watching our children be independent adults and handling our nation very capably. So let us all look after each other, including our families. Jai Hind. Take care. Bye now.